Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. A week later, we are back here for more action in CRL. We're here for the Singapore Grand Prix at the Yas Marina circuit, or Marina Bay circuit, I should say. Yas Marina is Abu Dhabi, so apologies for that one already. 80-minute qualifying session, as you can see. And we've got a few cars popping out of the pit lane then, as they're about to go for their flying laps here in qualifying. So let's see how they handle this. And last time out, we were at the it was only been a week ago, Bahrain Grand Prix, and we all know what happened there in the last lap. In fact, it wasn't Little One who actually won the Grand Prix, it was MKP. If I remember correctly, MKP had a really bad qualifying, and I think his strategy paid dividends for later on in the race, avoiding all the incidents and good timing with the safety car too. He actually won the Bahrain Grand Prix ahead of both Germans of Deluxe and Dragon on Speed. And Dragon on Speed, quite seasoned this season. It's not really, well, he's had some bad luck in these past few races. I think I remember the back of Grand Prix we got lapped, I think, twice. But slowly but quietly, he's up into P3 in the championship standards, so he could be very happy with himself about that one. Overtaking Mazzles, I know he's had internet connection issues as well, has Mazzles in the past few races, so not his fault, which has been just been unfortunate there. But yeah, Dragon on Speed though has done a fantastic performance this season, along with his teammate in P6 the championship standards. So both Aston Martins having a decent season. I'm talking about Aston Martins on Bora Krieger. Now I remember he didn't have the good qualifying back at the Bahrain Grand Prix. He was a bit all over the place, but let's see if he's got it hooked up here tonight in Singapore as we head down into turn 1, hits the apex in turn 1, running out wide in turn 2, and going into turn 3 we go. He doesn't really use that curve on the inside, gets back in as well though, and let's see then as we make our way down into turn 6, flick it in, a bit hesitant there on the entry, and gets out of there very nicely and cleanly, going into turn 6. Now flat out through turn 7, shouldn't be no problems through here at all. As we make our way down into turn 8, the break at the 50-meter board, a bit wide on entry, didn't really hook up the apex there. We go into turn 9, the slow speed corners now, it could be very difficult on traction as well, and we're coming into this left-hander here, just didn't really get on. Oh wait, that was so close to the wall, mind you. And now we head into the old Singapore sling. I'm going to check the comments just in case there's anything wrong with the audio or anything like that. I did mute myself earlier on, hopefully it's not unmuted. No, it's not, so thankfully we can continue as he makes his way down into the Anderson Bridge. Just reading the comments now. Culpa Paradox, evening lads, good luck all. Dat Roland, Sui. Colin R. Mason, evening all. Jeff and the old man tonight, JR Mason 54. McConey, good luck all. Craigo, evening pal. People, sorry. And Nathan says good luck all. Good luck in PSG, Nathan, I wish you the best, mate. Colin, thanks for giving me an opportunity to race, Nathan. Best of luck lads. Nathan's in a race, but pleasure to have him, hoping all the best in his debut race. So here comes Craigo then in turn number 21, I believe that is, now coming through 22 and turn number 23 as he makes his way now towards the line. Let's see what lap time he can set. As you can see, his deployment already went before he crossed the line then, so all of his EOS disappeared as he could get the power he wanted down the straight, as Little One instantly takes P1 away from him with a 38.5, putting 4 tenths between himself and Craigo as Dragon of Speed. And the second Aston Martin there with a 40.9, so not really representative as Nacho goes P3 in the Williams. In the background we can see a Red Bull that's just gone for a spin there, which is Ferguson then, so let's see what happened to him. Did he take too much curve? Did he pick up the throttle way too early? However, it's ruined his lap utterly and completely as well, so he won't be able to go for a second flyer lap consistently because those tyres are done, and plus he's lost a lot of time anyways on the straight, so that's his lap time done. Mazzles in P4 with the exact same lap time as Nacho, so P3 and P4 are very not even close, to just together. Mighty Baguette, the Frenchman, in P5 with a 39.4, with Harry Palmer across the line with a 40 as Deluxe finish it, or he's in P6 with a 39.4, rounding off his first lap time with Leon cross the line after him in P7. MKP, quick killer, has retired from the session unfortunately. Where is that? That is down at turn number 8 where he's crashed as George Hargreaves is up into P1. Oh, there's a spinner in the background. Is that Ross? Let's have a look. It is the Alpine of Ross, and it looks like it's about to start his flying lap because as you can see, he's on full EOS almost, and he's crashed. In fact, he's set a 2 minutes 2.0, so I wondered, did he make a mistake on that lap and backed off and went for it again, but unfortunately got a bit optimistic on the throttle on the final corner and spun the car, so that must have what happened. JR Mason is up into P9 there, near his teammate KXI then, so a good performance there from JR Mason on his first flying lap. We've got Chris yet to set a lap time, with Quick Killer already out of the session then. That was an Alpine I was on board with, who's just lost his front wing. That was Ross who spun at the final corner then, so a few drivers here find it a bit difficult in the streets of Singapore, but that's no surprise there. It is such a difficult track, so I'm not surprised that some drivers are having a really tough time of it. Massive wheel spin for Chris there as he exits turn number 12 as we head down into turn number 13 then. This maybe seems like a simple breaker zone, but it's really easy to lock up and go wide through there, especially if you're in a battle with DRS, then carrying the speed all the way down the straight. I've seen some people crashing that wall as well. It's such an easy place. Even though it's a wide corner, it can be so easy to lock up the brakes and go off into the barriers there. This one's a difficult one as well. Looks like he's turned off his ERS, has Chris, so he feels like this lap time is not good enough for him, and he's backed out of it. So I think a trip to the pits is necessary because he's low on ERS and fuel as well. So back into the pits he goes, but the man on top is George Hargreaves. It would have been a very interesting battle between George and Little One in the final few laps of the race, but unfortunately contact was made, and it seems like that Little One was to blame, because he's the one that suffered a penalty in the end and taking away George Hargreaves' potential win. Definite podium or potential win. It will be one of those two, but unfortunately contact was made there. And the stewards feel like it was Little One's incident, but we move on. Little One will move on as well. One of them racing things, it all happens. We know what it's like in the last few laps of a race where the tension's rising, heart pounding, nerve strangling. We've all been there before. But hopefully, if it does happen this time, we'll have a clean fight all the way to the end. Here is the Little One on his outlap there, currently in P2, and he's P1 in the championship standings, is the Brit. And he's got a comfortable buffer over Veloci Ayub, who hasn't made an appearance tonight, so he will be able to close out that championship lead. And Veloci Ayub Jr., if I remember correctly, did retire on the circuit, could have merited himself a penalty as well, so that's why he might not be here tonight. I'm not quite sure what's happened to him, so if somebody can let me know in the comments where is Veloci Ayub Jr. Maybe it's Singapore, he didn't want to race in Singapore, but you've got to turn up to all races, because we're in it to win it. As we've got three drivers then on an out lap. You can see tracking the speed there down in P10, going for consecutive lap times on the same set of soft compound tyres. So I think this could be his last lap, as he's running low on fuel and DRS too. And plus you don't want to be out there on old tyres just in case you make a mistake and hit the wall and lose your tyres, because I think somebody did that last time out in Hungary or Bahrain. I think it was Hungarian Grand Prix, where somebody went for quite a few long runs and they ended up in the wall because obviously the tyres got older and older, just lost grip and eventually crashed out in the wall. So that could be, that's a disadvantage of staying out there on old tyres. Ferguson up into P9, obviously doing 3 laps on those set of soft compound tyres, so got to head back into the pit lane now as Little One is out there going for a second flying lap then with 9 minutes remaining in the session. So he's got 5 tenths to find on George Hargreaves. Make our way down into turn number 1, turn 2 and turn number 3. Nice and clean through there, very smooth. Let's see how he gets on the throttle, short shifted to reduce the wheel spin on exit, coming through turn 4. Now flick it into turn number 5. You want to run all the way out wide there. Looks like his Alfa Romeo teammate Harry Palmer giving him a nice slipstream, coming through turn number 7 now. And now we're coming through turn number 8. Let's see how much time he's found. He's 1/10 down in that first sector there, so just can't seem to quite hook it up in that first sector. Now, middle sector full of medium speed corners here. Let's see if he's able to find that time back as we make our way now into this left-hander we go. Into third gear, back on the throttle as soon as the car's rotated. As we make our way into the old Singapore sling. Do miss that chicane as he takes a lot of curb on entry, very nice through there. The back of the car seems to be settling as we make our way now towards the Anderson Bridge. Let's see how he takes it through here, coming into turn number 12. Car rotating really nicely, getting back on the throttle with no wheel spin, short shifted as well to reduce the wheel spin, crucially through the low speed corners, because it's so easy to line up your rear tyres through there. 2 tenths down again is Little One, so I wonder, I'm not quite sure what's happened here. Maybe his first lap time was really good, or his second lap he's just not able to find any time as he would have wanted, and that's too much curb unfortunately for Little One, so that lap time there is invalidated it. So What's he going to do? Will he head back in the pit lane? He certainly can't go for it again because those tyres were quite hot, and therefore if he goes again he'll be sliding all over the place. Plus the ERS he has. Oh, look at Craig go. He's found 8 tenths and put his Aston Martin into P2. That is so close towards George Hargreaves' pole position time. So George is on an out lap, or has he just crossed the line to start a lap? I'm not quite sure because it's not saying out lap for me, so it must have gone for a lap and maybe gone for another push lap it seems. But obviously you don't want to be doing that around here because tyre wear is higher around here, and tyre wear, well, you need all the tyre life you can get for this one lap here in Singapore to get the best out of the tyres, best performance out of the track as well, and your car. Nacho, here he is in the Williams then, coming through the slow speed corners now, as we've seen. Oh, he spun! Oh, he's in the wall! And Nacho there has lost his wing. Not the first driver I've seen do that. I was watching old races from the past, reminiscing of old races I've commentated here in Singapore, and it was a Williams who did that too in the old races. So Nacho there unfortunately losing his wing, but this time not losing his tyres, because when that crash happened, the last time I saw that crash, it was a slow speed crash like that one, a bit slower than Nacho's, and he actually lost his wheel too, so he lucky he didn't lose that. And here comes Mads Baguette, goes into P4 in the Ferrari then, so he's found 8 tenths as all the drivers then are starting to find confidence. Deluxy, last week's podium sitter, up into P3, the German driver, so good job there from Deluxy. I'm glad he's started to show more appearances because we can see his true pace and potential moving up from tier 4. J.R. Mason has crossed the line in the AlphaTauri to go above Mazzles as he puts that car into P6 there, separated 4 tenths between himself and Mazzles in the Haas, who's currently on a lap time. Who else is out there nearly towards the line now? We've got a Alpine who's just come into P4 then, so Ross there, despite that front wing damage, hasn't dented his confidence, and he's put himself up into P4 there. So good recovery from Ross so far, with 5 minutes and 45 seconds left to go in the session. Plenty of opportunities out there for all the drivers. What's Dragon Speed doing in the Aston Martin? Currently not on a lap time, so looks like he's going for another push lap, it seems, from the Aston Martin driver. Did multiple laps as George Hargreaves has raised the benchmark once again, then raised the standards. It's a 37.6 and he's 4 tenths clear of Krager and P2 then, so put a big distance between himself and second place. And George Hargreaves there showing what he could do, and it looks like race ban for Veloci Aero. Thank you, McConey, for that one. And yeah, good job there from George Hargreaves. Deluxy in P3 as well. Oh, Deluxy has just crashed on his in lap, and I was talking about turn 13 there, where it's so easy to just, I don't know, it's just something about that corner where, I don't know what it is, it's just so easy to just go off into the wall, even though it's a wide corner or a wide exit. But Deluxy there, I'm so glad he hasn't lost his wheel, lost his own plate. Oh, George, don't, Deluxy, don't do that. Come on, get yourself back in the pit lane nice and easily there. Just slow down. You don't want to be risking it, especially in P3 there. You've got plenty to gain, plenty to lose as well. So he just needs to calm down for the time being and just get himself in the pit lane, put on a brand new set of softs and just forget about it. You don't want to be doing that, especially when you're in a high position, and even on your in lap as well. You don't want to be risking it all on your in lap. Here's KXI, and he's cutting corners, so I'm unfortunately caught on stream. Hopefully they don't give him penalties for that. I'm sorry, KXI. Ferguson in P11 then. Let's see what he does. I think he's about to start a flying lap. Yes, he is then. So Ferguson, he's making his way down into turn number 1 with 4 minutes remaining in the session. Did he get a bit squirrely quick at turn number 1? Might have compromised him a bit at turn 2 and turn number 3. Uses all the track at turn number 3. And let's see then. He's not even turned his ERS on. No, he hasn't. So it looks like Ferguson's going for another lap on these set of soft compound tyres, just burning some rubber down on the track as the track evolution will start to kick in, and the track will get grippier too on the way from the qualifying session. But yeah, here comes MKP, the last week's race winner in Bahrain, here in Singapore tonight. Didn't have a good qualifying session, I believe. Is that Ferguson who's gone for a mistake down there? No, it's the other Red Bull. Dat Roland in P18 there has gone for a spin, I wonder? Must be a spin. And unfortunately there, he's not set a lap time, along with Chris, who was also struggling out there. He validated his last lap, did Chris. And Dat Roland there is struggling too in the Red Bulls. Lots of people struggling here tonight in the streets of Singapore. MKP has found 4 tenths in the middle sector, but obviously it's a 40.4, so not a representative lap time in his eyes. Now coming through these slow speed corners here, you've got to be very patient on the throttle as well. Coming out of there, going into this left-hander, takes it very nicely, gets back on the throttle immediately, then coming out of the corner as we make our way into this left-hander. You want to use a lot of curve on the entry, but obviously not hitting that wall, which is easy to do so. Now coming through here, it looks like he's taking it very cautiously, his MKP, maybe not finding a lot of confidence here in Singapore. Under the Anderson Bridge we go, swinging it in, that's a lovely turn in there from MKP, gets on the throttle, as you can see the back end of the car just moving there as he applies the throttle. Going into turn number 13 we go, looks like somebody's made a mistake ahead of him. Leon there, you don't want to be crashing there mate, remember what happened in 2008? I'm joking, but here comes MKP coming into this right-hander. I presume most of you know what I'm talking about through there. Obviously the Alpine was called the Renault back then, but here comes MKP then coming through these slow speed corners, but a lot of people are crashing the wall. Daniel Ricciardo was one of them back in 2013. Have we had a recent crash there in the past few years of Singapore? I can't quite remember the last driver who crashed there recently, other than the older era before the turbo hybrid era. Here comes MKP, puts himself inside the top 10 then. And there's plenty of more times to be found from MKP, because he was taking it a bit cautiously in my eyes on his lap. There's JR Mason in 54 coming through the slow speed corners. I think he's on his in lap, it seems. I'm not quite sure. Here comes Gordon Llewellyn, crosses the line, puts his Haas into P7, a tenth away from Might to be getting P6, as our main competitors are on their out laps, and Craig goes on his flying lap then, so he's pulled the trigger earlier than everybody else. It doesn't say out lap, maybe he's gone for a second push lap. I'm not quite sure. Dragon of Speed has retired in the pit lane then, so his progress will not be going any further, as he will qualify a lowly 12th place then, not what the Aston Martin wanted, on board with the other Aston Martin who's currently in second place. And in a very good position is Craigo. Let's see what he could do on his final flying lap. The Mercedes of Deluxy is also starting his final flying lap, going into turn number 1. A little bit hesitant there for Craigo, making our way down into turn number 3 now. Let's see if he gets a good exit. Yes, he does then, coming out of turn number 3. And now we make our way into this right-hander, fast right-hander this is. Oh, that's a bit, looked like he had a bit of understeer through there. Luckily he didn't hit the wall. And I believe somebody's moved up the order. That is Ferguson, the Red Bull then, who's put himself into P5 ahead of Little One in P6. Little One is not on a lap time, going for his final lap then, with 35 seconds left to go on the clock. Time is running out for these drivers, and 30 seconds left to go. That's been a very quick qualifying session. These qualifying sessions go very quick, but look at Leon, who's put his Alpine into P3 there. And that's a very good position for him in the Alpine. Here comes Craigo, then making his way through the slow speed corners now, going on the Ellison Bridge. Into turn 13 we go, or turn 12. It's a slow left hand. Oh, he hit the wall on entry, probably turning a bit too early. And I think that's it. Yeah, that is it for Craigo. His qualifying session is done and dusted by hitting the wall. Deluxy, oh, Deluxy there, also a victim coming out of that corner. And that's his lap time done and qualifying session done. What's George Greaves doing? He's in that first sector, coming through turn number 8 now. And his rivals look like they're struggling. Who's his closest rival that's on a lap time there? Little One is on a lap time as he makes his way through the old Singapore sling. I don't really know the corner numbers because I haven't got the track map up, but I'll get that once the qualifying session is done and dusted. But George Hargreaves is looking very safe, unless Little One could try and snatch back a pole position away from George Hargreaves there. And the last time those two came together was last race, as Little One 3 tenths up in this middle sector. That'll put him into P4 unless he can find more time, of course, in this last sector. Time is running out for these drivers. Their very last attempts, as both Aston Martins there, they're not able to complete their final flying lap, as Craigo is back in the pit lane with Deluxy as well, who also didn't get that lap time in either after hitting the wall coming out of turn number 12. Here comes Little One in these slow speed corners as we make our way into turn number 20, and turn number 21 we go. And who's put themselves up the order? Mazzles and the Haas is up into P4 with Ross in P6, KSI P7, and Might to get P3. What about Little One in P2? Yes, he does. He puts himself up into P2, finds more time in that last sector, and he joins George Hargreaves for the front row positions. And it's going to be a very interesting race between those two. Craigo remains in P3, so be happy with that performance. Might to get in P4, the Frenchman doing a very good job, with Mazzles in P6, Deluxy P7, Ross in P8, KXI P9, Ferguson P10, Gordon Llewellyn P11, Chris in P12, JR Mason 54 P13, now P14, because somebody's moved up the order. I think that was Nacho. Yeah, George must have sent you the tier 4 link, I think, so. But qualifying is done and dusted then. George Hargreaves is on pole position. Redemption from his last race. He's going to be looking for a victory under the lights of Singapore. Couldn't do it in Bahrain, but he might be able to do it in Singapore if he can keep it all together. But this is going to be an interesting race from those two. Little 1 and P3, P2 got a lot of work to do because he's got a 3/10 gap over himself and George Hargreaves. Does he have the race pace to try and match George? Craigo have had a phenomenal job from the Aston Martin driver in P3. But yeah, let's see then. Two drivers did not set a lap time, which is Quick Keller and Dat Rowland in filling up the last few rows. So about to go on to the race then. Tier 4 has not started, Jamie. Thank you, Scott. Thanks for filling me in. I thought Tier 4 would start first before Tier 3. That's the way it goes, isn't it? How are you doing, Scott? Hopefully you're doing alright. Thursday. Oh. So we're 3 days away from Tier 4 then. Scott, well, what are you doing at the moment? Do you want to join the session and commentate with me? What are you doing? I'll look at the championship standings then. Wow, we've got the loader screen up and running. So last race, little one still in the championship lead with Veloci Aob Jr. in P2. Dragon on Speed might be able to overtake Veloci Aob Jr., but he needs to get himself inside the top 10 to do that. He's currently outside of it. Didn't have a good qualifying session. Mazzles is 2 points behind. It's so close from P2 all the way down to P5 with Ross there in P5. And Mazzles in P4. Craigo in P6 might be able to extend his gap over Jay Hart now, who is not here tonight, unfortunately. MKP boost himself inside the top 10 after that win. Ferguson in P9 with Fandango inside the top 10. KXI 4 points away from Fandango. Deluxe P12. We know he's not been here all season, but when he has been here, he's put in some good results. So can he repeat the same thing in Singapore? Last appearance was at the Bahrain Grand Prix, which was last race. And he finished in P3 along with his German compatriot Dragon on Speed as the Scotsman of MKP took the victory of the race due to Little One's penalty, who fell down into P6 then. Another one, the formation lap is on. I'll take a short break. I'll be back with you very shortly. George Hargreaves made an appearance at the Netherlands Grand Prix fighting KXI for the podium. KXI was able to defend from his AlphaTauri teammate back then to claim P3. George Hargreaves' first appearance finished in P4, so that was a good drive from him in that AlphaTauri. His second appearance, unfortunately, was at the USA. I didn't mean to say unfortunately, I meant because he could have won that race, but picked himself up a penalty due to speeding under a safety car, and he was in the Williams back then as well. Now he's in the Mercedes. Hungarian Grand Prix didn't appear. Then he appeared at the Bahrain Grand Prix. Could have won that race, but unfortunately things happened, and he DNF from that on the last lap as well, finishing P14, scoring no points. But he's got a big chance to gain 30 points in this race, or 31 points, depending if he gets the fastest lap or not. So, can George Hargreaves claim victory here and get redemption from what happened to last race? He's got a little one behind him who know he's mighty quick and a championship leader for a reason. Or can anybody else try and snatch away victory? Chance of a safety car? Unlikely. No, I'm kidding. It's very likely. We all know it's likely around here in Singapore. Will it affect anybody's strategy? Will it ruin anybody's races, I wonder? We're about to find out in the next 31 laps. as they all made their way then towards the line. George leading Little One. Let's see who gets a better start off the line. Can Little One go up the inside of George Hargreaves? Will he have it covered then? 2017 we saw that massive crash between Vettel, Raikkonen and Verstappen in the wet conditions, and then it took all three of them out. Vettel was taken out later on while he spun by himself due to his own fluids. Chaotic start that was back at the 27 Grand Prix. How are you feeling today, streamer guy? I'm very good, thank you, because you're here. That's why I'm feeling very good. And streamer guy, you could call me Indigo if you want. Here are the lights then. We're about to be underway very shortly. Lights out for round 12 at the Singapore Grand Prix. As you can see there, George Hargreaves is under pressure from Little One as Little One goes on down the inside, but George Hargreaves fighting back on Little One. Hit the outside line, swings around the outside into turn number 3. But did you get a good exit? No! Wheel spin on the exit. Little One comes back on him and he takes the lead away from George Hargreaves then. A bit optimistic there on the throttle, coming out turn number 3, trying to swing it around the outside. Mazzles is up into P3. He's overtaken Craigo. We've got a battle between the Alpine and Red Bull going on there with Ferguson versus Deluxey. They almost went 3 abreast on that straight, but Ross was smart about it. As we can see, Deluxey up the inside of Ferguson we go into the braking zone, and he moves himself up into P6. Ferguson on the medium compound tyres, crucially for him, made a very good start, which is all contact between the Haas, who tries to go down the inside, but there was not enough room, and unfortunately for him, he has spun Dragon on speed there as well, getting caught up in the mix. He's up into P12 ahead of Chris there, who's under big pressure from Harry Palmer as they're about to make their way into the next left-hander, but he backs out of it very smartly there. Don't want to go side by side through there. But I think the most places made up is Ferguson, because he's on the medium compound tyres looking to get a good start than everybody else, and he's already made up 4 places, I believe. He's on P11 or P10, and now he's up into P7 there. We can see Deluxey all over the back on Mighty Baguette there in that middle sector, purple as well, in that middle sector between those two. But Mazzles there, very good start from the Haas, up 3 places as well, so he's taken on Craigo, Mighty Baguette and Deluxey. Deluxey, even though he's made a place up into P7 there, we've got both RPs squabbling for P8 and P9, but what's happened to Ross? Harry Palmer's just scraped the wall, and that was Leo, unfortunately, who went down the escape road. So let's have a look, shall we? What's happened to him in that Alpine? I presume he's lost his wing, because he couldn't turn the car into that tight left-hander. But however, at the front of the field, Little One takes the lead from George Hargreaves at turn number 3 after losing traction. But now George Hargreaves can focus on now chasing our Mighty Baguette, as spun after an amazing qualifying session. The Frenchman unfortunately spins coming out of turn number 3, and that's dropped him all the way down into P14. And now he's got a lot of work to do here tonight if he wants to reclaim those positions, especially at a track like this where it's super difficult to overtake around here. Easy to stick in the DRS train, but it's just so difficult to overtake. No matter how good your straight line speed is, like Dragon on speed, there's just no way past whatsoever, and they're all going to be stuck in that big DRS train. But as long as George Hargreaves can remain there and try and fight him towards the later race, it is the quiet before the calm before the oh, look at that, George very close to the back of the Alfa Romeo coming into turn number 12 there. Just got to be very patient now. You don't want to risk it all. DRS is enabled next lap then, so he can settle in into his DRS and try and wait for an opportunity to arise later on in the race. But Ferguson making 5 places up then, so he did start in P11 and making the most of those medium compound tyres to gain him a load of positions as he could off the start of the race. And now he's putting pressure on Deluxey just ahead of him in the Mercedes there. And he needs to get past those Harvaners as quickly as he can to make his strategy work as well, which will pay dividends for him later on in the race. Well, it depends when a safety car comes out really, but it could really help his race if it comes out very early. Switch over to the hard compound tyres, but Chris has gone for a spin down there in P13. Luckily for him, he's only lost 2 positions as Dragon on speed is up inside the top 10 then, so after a dismal qualifying, finds himself inside the top 10. Maybe he didn't have the qualified pace, but showing a bit of race pace is Dragon on speed, putting Nacho under massive pressure. And if you weren't with us in the last few races, every time Dragon on speed, well, every time someone's been behind Dragon on speed, they can't overtake him, even though they have DRS and ERS advantage, because Dragon on speed, straight line speed is just amazing. So I want to be ahead of that Aston Martin with DRS behind you, because he will fancy an overtake very soon. But it looks like Krager then is starting to split from the DRS now between the top three, and he'll be left exposed to the guys behind then. So Krager, the man that started down in P3, obviously all the attention was drawn onto George Hargreaves, the little one's fight at the first opening corners of the first lap, because we didn't really see what happened to Gregor. He definitely lost the place towards Mazzles. Mazzles had a fantastic start. I would love to see his start, by the way, because he just gained 3 places just like that then. So his start will be very interesting to watch as George Hargreaves is homing in on little one there, and followed by Mazzles in P3. Oh, I think he went a little bit wider than Mazzles, so he might pick himself up. A warning for that one. Quick Killer deep on the brakes and nearly into the wall there. He gets ahead of Dragon of Speed then, so Dragon of Speed has just lost the place towards Quick Killer. Quick Killer as well. Where did he start? I remember him having a bad start. P19. Now he's up into P10 in 3 laps then, so what a good start there from Quick Killer. Didn't hook it up in qualifying, didn't set a lap time, and all of a sudden he's inside the top 10, but I want to go back on board with the top 3 because they're ever so close. Looks like George Hargreaves is starting to fall into the clutches of Mazzles there, but he knows he has the DRS at the back of little one then, so he could just try and follow little one, and that's how I was able to defend for Mazzles, because with the DRS train they're all essentially just carrying the same speed down the straight, so they've gained no advantage on that one. So George Hargreaves, very important for him in this race just to remain in the DRS as Chris has overtaken Harry Palmer. They go side by side now into turn 6 we go. Let's see who gets out ahead of this one. And here comes Mighty Baguette trying to go around the outside. That's going to be very tight, but Harry Palmer acknowledges his presence as they both have DRS on the back of the Williams. But Mighty Baguette backs out of that one. You can be very careful as well not to hit the back of Harry Palmer going into turn number 8 there. Turn number 7, sorry, turn 8's this one. Straggler Speed has overtaken Nacho. Nacho looks like he's had a problem coming out on one of the slow speed corners, probably lost traction on the exit, and Straggler Speed is able to take on Nacho and Quick Killer up into P9. Can he close on KXI, who's 2 seconds away from Ross, so he has no DRS on anybody. He's caught quite lonely down there in P8. But making our way under the Anderson Bridge then. Very easy to lose the car under the Anderson Bridge. The car just goes on you just like that. You don't know when it's going to go. You should be very careful and pay attention at all times as well, especially with the corners coming at you and easy to hit the wall as well. But little one remains in the lead on lap 4 ahead of George Hargreaves. Mazzles in a stunning P3 after a great start. I would love to watch that start again, see what he did at the first start of the race. Because I think they were 3 wide at one point on the straight, but one of them backed out of it. I think it was Ross who backed out of it, knowing it's not wise to go 3 wide. And Ross Mazzles was able to take advantage of him and move ahead of Krager as well. But interesting to see his point of view at the start of the race, to see how he got into P3. And that DRS then is enabled. It's just all quiet for the time being. We'll get to the most interesting part of the race later on once the pit stop starts happening, or when the safety car is deployed. But as you can see there, George Hargreaves 9/10 away from Little One. And look at Little One's ERS status as well. Quite a healthy amount of ERS he's got in his disposal there. I could use that to pull away from George Hargreaves. So there you can see there, more than half the ERS that Little One has on George Hargreaves. I can use that to just try and edge himself away in the DRS zone at the moment for him. George Hargreaves however can try and stay within Little One's DRS range and recharge that battery up later on to attack him later in the race. But looks like Little One's harvesting a good amount of ERS here to defend from him later on if he needs it, of course. Just using it there and everywhere. Well, just using it just in exits or corners. Just using it now and then, that's what I'm supposed to say. And of course off the racetrack. But he's saving it quite smartly there, and strategically as well from Little One's point of view. Keeping George Hargreaves at bay at the time being. He had the qualifying pace to George Hargreaves. Does he have the race pace to match it as well? Lost it at the start of the Grand Prix because the inside line was the preferred line at the start of the Grand Prix. Little One was able to take advantage of that and put himself ahead of George Hargreaves. George Hargreaves tried to fight back on the outside, but looks like he lost a bit of traction coming out of turn number 3 there. Probably got the throttle way too early in his pursuit to get Little One. But as you can see, he's all over the back of him, of course, but yeah, trying to force him into an error, but Little One won't be fazed by that one whatsoever. At least it was a clean fight this time at the start of the race. Hopefully it remains throughout the whole race. That was just a joke, by the way. I wasn't taking it serious, but as you can see there, George Hargreaves actually pulled away from Mazzles. So Mazzles there has used a lot of his ERS to try to stick with George Hargreaves and Little One, but looks like he's out of it now and might find himself exposed towards Crago and Deluxey. And unfortunately for Ferguson, on the medium compound tyre, he's just not able to close in. Well, he is, obviously, but not able to overtake those hard runners as he would have wanted and wished for at the start of the race. Now he's just stuck in that DRS train, can't do anything about it, of course, so he's going to have to remain there until the pit stops start happening. He'll be the first to pit, of course, being on those medium compound tyres. And Harry Palmer has gone for a spin. He's lost his front wing too. That could trigger a safety car depending where it is on the track. But no safety car is deployed for the time being then. Looks like George Greaves then. Can he able to charge some ERS, or because Little One can use it in his defence against George Hargreaves. Random Human says, be right back. Hope George commits some crime by the time I get back. Hopefully he doesn't. But Dat Roden has overtaken Mighty Baguette for P13. Dat Roden, who didn't have a good qualifying either, is making some places up. And he's moved up to 13th place. So he started in 18th, up into 13th place he goes. Quick Killer is slowly closing in on KXI, but look at George Hargreaves then, it's so close. He used a lot of battery, but it looks like Little One's straight line speed is quite good actually on the straight, despite George being in DRS range. Oh, he just hit the back of him there, George. Just needs to be a bit more patient than that. Does George? He talked about being unlucky in the past few races, but George himself just needs to keep being nice and calm and patient behind Little One. Can't afford to be doing things like that, otherwise penalties could be handed out, as that's able to allow Mazzles to close in on the top two then. So Mazzles will be thanking George for that one, as he's back in DRS himself and looking to put continuous pressure on the two guys ahead, as he's dropped Crago out of his DRS now, so he can try to stick in the battle for P1 and P2. Can Mazzles won a race this season, I believe. Can't quite remember which one it was. It was a few rounds ago. I think, was it the Monaco Grand Prix one? Yeah, it was the Monaco Grand Prix that Mazzles won. But Deluxey is out of the race. He's crashed at the Addison Bridge. And a safety car will be triggered in this race for the first time on lap 7 then. And this will benefit Ferguson. He could go in the pit lane and put on a brand new set of hards, possibly take towards the end. I'm not quite sure about the tyre life around this circuit. I know it's high, but I'm not quite sure how high it is. But he could definitely go for a pit stop if he wants and put on a brand new set of the hard compound tyres. Obviously these guys will stay out. They don't want to risk losing track position to the guys behind, so they should definitely stay out there. Maybe some guys in midfield might switch over to the mediums and put pit onto a brand new set of mediums later on in the race, but we'll find out then, as the safety car then for the first time in this race on lap 7 has been deployed after Deluxey crashed. And no one at the front of the field is pitting. Neither is Ferguson either on those medium compound tyres there. So it looks like he's extended his stint on those mediums, looking to reduce those hard compound tyres at the end of the race. So now Deluxey is out. Let's see if any of the guys in the midfield will decide to go for a pit stop. No, they don't. So they stay out there on those hard compound tyres, not looking to go on a brand new set of mediums, as JR Mason is in the pit lane. Probably to put on a brand new set of mediums. They go on a brand new set of mediums later on because he's got 2 sets in his disposal. The ones he allocated for. The most preferred tyre balance, which is or the most preferred tyre strategy is balance, so you get 2 sets of mediums because you always need them, especially when the safety cars can appear too. Gives you more options in strategy as well, because having 1 set of hards and 1 set of mediums won't do you any favours, especially when multiple safety cars keep coming out, because you won't have any fresher tyres or faster tyres to be on during the race. And that was the problem everybody had. Well, everybody had the same problem. It wasn't just a few people, but yeah, it wasn't ideal because you only had 1 set of mediums and 1 set of hards throughout the whole race before the patch happened, and that was a pain as well. And you can see Mazzles there in high gears looking to drain away some fuel as he's on the throttle and brakes at the same time. I presume some drivers have underfueled the car, expecting the safety car as well to try and reduce some weight. Feel light and grippier as possibly they can, but while the safety car is out, I'll take a little bit of a short break. I'll take these breaks to the advantage because I'm a lone commentator. It's quite hard to commentate on your own, but we manage. I'll see you all very shortly. Right, so I think the safety car might come in the next lap. Harry Palmer is back on his hard compound tyres because he switched over to the softs a few moments ago, and now he's back on the hard. So I think he might take them towards the end, depending if another safety car makes an appearance on the circuit. But while the safety car is out, let's talk about what's been the best Singapore Grand Prix so far. You know, it's a street circuit, difficult to overtake. We have seen some really good races around here. Well, 2008, where the first ever night race was held here at Singapore. And obviously we had that crash gate, but it wasn't discovered until a year later after Nelson Piquet got sacked from the team after his horrendous performances, let's be honest. His one good performance was back at the Hockenheim Grand Prix back in 2008, but that was it after that. It didn't really, he didn't really show anything after that. But I think 2017 was an alright one. Obviously we had that crash at the start of the Grand Prix. That's for 2015 when Vettel won the Grand Prix, both Mercedes had problems. Hamilton was actually out of the race, and both Red Bulls finished to the podium. 2016, Nico Rosberg won the race, and I think it was Raikkonen finished second and Hamilton third, or Ricciardo finished second and Hamilton third. 2018, I think Hamilton won the Grand Prix. We saw that amazing qualifying lap Hamilton put in here in 2018, where it did look like Mercedes had a chance around here in Singapore 2018, because it looked like it was a Ferrari track, and obviously Hamilton out of nowhere put that lap in, and Ferrari wasn't able to respond during the race, and Hamilton went on to win that Grand Prix. 2019, where Sebastian Vettel won the Grand Prix after saw multiple safety cars come out of that one, and that's when Vettel did the undercut on Charles Leclerc, where Leclerc thought it was unfair, and Vettel went on to win that race. Both Mercedes were nowhere near because they didn't have the pace. Neither did Verstappen. I think he finished in P3, did Verstappen, because both Mercedes were struggling throughout the whole race. And obviously 2020, 2021 we had COVID. Then we had the 2022 race. Let's talk about that. Jaguar Speed's followed down the order. What's happened to him? And there he is then. Aston Martin driver has gone for a spin coming out of turn number 7 there as he reclaims the positions he's lost. As I'll look at the comments right now, because one of you did commented. 2008 Singapore, yeah, I think we all remember that one. If you don't, you might want to go back and watch that, just in case you don't know. Basically, refueling was, pitting under a safety car was not allowed back in those days. Well, I say days, back then. I don't know why. You just weren't allowed to make a pit stop until all the fuel budged up, and that's when you were able to make a pit stop. Fernando Alonso pitted before the safety car came out, and then 2 laps later, I think Nelson Piquet deliberately crashed in the wall, caused a safety car which allowed the whole field to bunch up. Nobody was allowed to pit, and Alonso found himself up the order. Fernando Alonso went on to win the race. Then a year later, when Nelson Piquet got sacked, he basically snitched on the team and opened up what happened on that day, and obviously that's when Crashgate happened. I think the team boss that time, Fabio Briatore, got sacked along with Pat Simmons, I believe. I think Pat Simmons is allowed back in the sport, but obviously he got suspended after a few months. And that's the history between Renault, which is now Alpine, around this circuit. Romain Grosjean took over Nelson Piquet, but Grosjean himself didn't really do a good performance either. The 2022 Singapore Grand Prix was quite interesting, especially in the wet conditions as well. Max Verstappen, obviously, what happened in 2008 Singapore, Zach? Go watch it. It's on YouTube. You might want to go watch it. Oh yeah, also the fuel rig between Felipe Massa, when he made that pit stop, his fuel rig was still stuck to his car, and he spent a long time in the pit lane trying to get that off, and that cost him a potential world championship. There's many things that happened in 2008 that caused that. Off we go then for the safety car restart. Littlewell looks like he's got a decent start over George Hargreaves there. Might have caught him napping just a little bit as we head on to lap 11 then. It looks like somebody's lost the place. Was that Ferguson? Look at that, he's alongside the AlphaTauri then. KXI is going to go down the inside of Ferguson, and he's moved himself up into P6. Has KXI then, so Ferguson looks like he had a bad safety car restart. He went off the track at the final corner, and now he finds himself behind the AlphaTauri, so he's lost 2 places there on the straight. As we see a few drivers falling down the order. Is that MKP who's fallen down his P17 there? I wonder what's happened to him in the McLaren. A few cars squabbling in the midfield there. Dragon Speed, they're all over the place. And these guys in the midfield here, with Harry Palmer now going side by side with the Alpine and Leon. As we make our way now into turn number 8 we go. Leon is the outside line. We'll try Harry Palmer, try to stick around the outside. No, we can't, because Leon there breaks later, and he takes the racing line away. Oh, he almost went back and see Mads Baguette there. Remember what happened to him? Mads Baguette spun into Mads Baguette spun early on in the race. Can't quite remember where he spun, but he fallen down the order, and that's why he's down in P12. But further ahead, looks like little one then is just trying to get himself out of DRS range, using the safety car to his advantage, because obviously there's no DRS after 2 laps of the safety car, and MKP there has made another mistake, unfortunately him. Our last week's race winner, MKP, unfortunately he finds himself in last. But little one, now the safety car's in the pit lane, can he try and get himself out of DRS range of George Hargreaves? He's almost done it as little one, but George is pushing so hard he's actually saved quite a bit of ERS, but he might want to use it just in case that little one does get ahead and pull ahead of him. I think DRS will be enabled next lap, I think. Yeah, DRS then is enabled next lap then, so George has one more lap to try and stay in with DRS range before it's activated. Little one has one more lap, try and pull away if he can, otherwise he'll be stuck in George's DRS again, as Ferguson is under pressure from Quick Killer. Quick Killer, despite a miserable qualifying for himself, he's actually put himself into P8. Really good position there, had a fantastic start, as a few drivers are in the pit lane after having misdemeanors somewhere on the circuit. But Quick Killer there, must be said, doing a fantastic job so far in P8, and still a long way to go in this race. And look at the Red Bull in the background there. That Roland also has made up some ground after losing, after having a bad qualifying, starting at the back, I think he did. As MKP there has called it quits for the day, and he is out of the race. Kevin Dewell reminded me of how I pronounced MKP's name terribly, MKP. Don't know why I called him that, but thankfully I got his name right for once. I can call him by MKP now. But George there is just there in the DRS range. It's just hovering around 9/10 1 second. But little one in this last sector, can he pull away from George Hargreaves and get himself out of DRS range from the Mercedes man just behind him? Might have lost a little bit of time on the curb there. Did bounce over the curb to those low speed corners. Now coming to this last sector here, can be very tricky as well, especially on traction. Very easy to lose the car in these places. Turn 20, turn 21. And now we'll make our way through the final 2 corners. DRS will be activated, but not on this straight, obviously, because the detection point is before the line. And now DRS then has been enabled. Little one, unfortunately for him, has not get himself out of DRS range. George Hargreaves has just managed to stick there. But hopefully when George and Little one battle, it won't be I won't end in tears like it did in Bahrain, as that Ronan has gone for a spin. I was talking about his good performance. Unfortunately he's gone for a spin. Nacho, what's happened to him? He's fallen down the order. What's happened to KXI as well? Looks like, did those two make contact? They both lost their place, and now Quick Killer's gained 2 of them. He's up into P7 now, putting pressure on Ferguson, who still hasn't pitted, is on those medium compound tyres. He didn't take the opportunity to pit to a brand new set of hards. He wanted to extend on his medium compound tyres, and our Quick Killer from out of nowhere has found some decent race pace and good amount of ERS as well to put pressure on Ferguson just ahead of him. Mazzles is still there too in P3. He's done a fantastic job. Here's the Danish driver in P3 with George Hargreaves there. Looks like he's late on the brakes in comparison towards Little One as well. But hopefully he's not too close this time, because that was a heart in mouth moment a few laps ago at turn number 3 where he hit the back a Little One, but thankfully didn't send him to a spin. Hopefully he doesn't do anything personal. But Ross has retired. He's out of the race. Where is that? He's crashed at that corner again. I say again, I don't know who crashed there the first time. It was definitely an Alpine. But Ross, unfortunately, is out of the race. And even though it doesn't look like it's a difficult corner, it is. I don't know what it is about that corner. Just the wall comes at you very quickly, but unfortunately for him, outbroke himself and he is out of the Grand Prix, looking to take away P3 from Dragon Speed in the championship. But that's not going to happen this time round. Dragon Speed is scoring points, not scoring points either, but for safety car comes out later on, he still has that chance, as George Hargreaves then all over the back of Little One, still putting pressure on him, but hopefully doesn't outbrake himself, because he looks like he's much more confident on the brakes in comparison to Little One. Obviously he's carried a lot more speed with the helping hand of the DRS pushing him on the straight, but obviously don't want to get too close to him on the back of Little One, as Quick Killer is all over the back of Ferguson. Pulls to the left hand side with DRS enabled for him. He's up into P5. What a stunning drive from Quick Killer there, and he's put himself into P5 ahead of Ferguson. Started, I think it was P18. Yeah, it was P8. It was P19 actually. He was last on the grid, and now it's up into P5. And what a fantastic drive! He's found some race pace somewhere. I wonder what happened in qualifying to him, because he just couldn't find any sort of rhythm in qualifying or any sort of pace. But looks like he's found it in the race, which is most crucial for him. And interestingly, George Hargreaves did not get any DRS on that particular part of the straight. Looks like Little One actually pulled himself out of the DRS range of George. Hopefully George is calm, cool and collected. He desperately wants to win after losing it at Bahrain. He talks about how lucky he is. Hopefully that doesn't bother him in his mind. He can fully focus on the race instead of focusing on the bad things, because that also could affect a driver's mentality. After being so desperate trying to win a race, you outdo yourself and you start making a lot of mistakes here and there. Using a lot of curb in turn 21. He's got himself back in DRS range this time round. He's dragging Mazzles along with Craigo just a little bit behind with Quick Killer in P5. If he gets himself on the podium, Quick Killer, that'll be a stunning drive from him. Looks like he's got a lot of confidence in that McLaren, showing some good, decent race pace. But he's 2.3 seconds behind Craigo. Can he catch up to Craigo in the later part of the race? We're coming up to that phase where a few pit stops might occur in very, very shortly. Let's see who pulls the undercut on who. We're about to find out in the next few laps who will go to the pit lane first. As that Roland there, unfortunately for him, he's dropping down the order. He's gone for a spin coming out of turn number 5 there. Yeah, hasn't had a good race, has he? He did start in the back row along with Quick Killer. Made up quite a few positions in the Red Bull, but looks like he's not liking the track after a few spins. Little One's got a healthy amount of ERS at his disposal to try and use that in his defence against George Hargreaves later on. But be very interested to see who in the top 3 will decide to pit first. Obviously a safety car can definitely destroy someone's race if they pit earlier, because I've seen that plenty of times where someone goes for a pit stop and the safety car comes out looking for them. Doesn't completely destroy their race, but it puts them at a massive disadvantage as your rivals will get a huge jump on you in the pit lane. Trying to look at the comment that someone put in the chat. I forgot your name. My name is Indigo, or it is Jamie Morris. Iguana. That's a good name, Iguana. My name is Iguana. But George Hargreaves on the straight just keeps hovering in and out of that DRS range, it seems. Looks like little One's got some decent straight line speed, evidently. What team drivers do you support in F1? Unfortunately I support Ferrari. Driver, I'm quite neutral. I'm not really. Well, I supported Sebastian Vettel back then, but obviously I don't know who I support now. I think I'm just a neutral fan now. I don't really care, to be honest. Even though I'm an F1 fan, I'm not I'm not a huge one now. I'm not really interested like I used to be, like rewatching all the races back from the past and watching every single video that came on. I'm not really a big fan anymore. I do watch the races, obviously, don't get me wrong, on a Sunday and watch races, watch qualifying on a Saturday, but yeah, I'm not really as big into it as I used to be. I don't really keep up with the news anymore on F1. Might Superget finds himself in a battle with KXI. KXI did go for a pit stop on the hot medium compound tyres while all that was happening, so he's gone for an early undercut on the guys ahead, looking to make up some lost ground with KXI after losing it coming out of turn number 3. I'm not quite sure how he did it, but he's hoping to regain some ground after that pit stop and try and do the undercut on the guys ahead to make up some lost ground. George Hargreaves then, first man in the top 3, has gone for a pit stop. And in the pit lane he goes there. Normally watch these streams back, but the first time watching live with your comms, I must say it's unfortunate you watching me live, because I'd rather see you the race than watch me live comms. So yeah, Ross, just come back stronger next race, mate. It's not an easy track, and hopefully you come back stronger the next race, because we know you got the pace. I know it's easy to make a mistake around here, and you too, MKP. And George Hargreaves then comes out the pit lane. Will he encounter any traffic on the pit lane exit, or will he get clean air? And I think he will get clean air as well. Keeps it in the white line. So time for Mazzles and Little One to respond then on this lap to try and cover from the undercut threat from George Hargreaves. Gonna push very hard, try and use a lot of that battery to try and stay ahead of George Hargreaves, who's made the undercut first on those drivers ahead. George Hargreaves has to push really hard, capitalise on those medium compound tyres while those guys stay out for one extra lap. And obviously Mazzle's not in the DRS range of Little One because he's too far back. Little One there pushing as hard as he can now, responding from the threat from George Hargreaves, trying to cover it. Wonder how he's got the pace to do so, and how much time can he find this final set to try and get the gap he needs. Obviously George Hargreaves needs to warm his medium tyres up. Obviously those tyres warm up quicker than the hards. Mid-range tyres, those medium compound tyres. Alternate strategy is always better depending when a safety car comes. And Little One then, will he make a pit stop? Yes he will then. I think Mazzles will follow through very quickly as well. Into the pit lane goes Mazzles and Little One. What about Craigo in P3? He stays out along with Quickler. Craigo will take the lead of this race while those two are in the pit lane. We're going to watch out for George Hargreaves down in P8 to see if he can try and overtake our race leaders. And has he found the pace he needs to try and undercut Little One and Mazzles as well? Hopefully don't be joined behind Mazzles because that'd be a huge shame for him. As we make our way down into turn number 1, has he got ahead of Little One? Let's see then. Here comes Little One on the pit lane, here comes Mazzles, and unfortunately for George, he has not got ahead on Mazzles then, so the undercut hasn't worked for George Hargreaves. But bearing in mind though, Little One still has to warm up his tyres though, so he could use that to his advantage and try and close him down. But Little One then, he can't push as hard as he would have wanted on his outlap because those tyres still need to warm up, and if you start pushing on them too quick, you'll start sliding around and losing the car. So he's going to keep it calm, cool and collected to ensure he can keep George Hargreaves at bay behind him. Further down with the field, we've got Mighty Spaghetti fighting, but naturally going side by side now with Mighty Spaghetti on the outside line. Here comes the RP to Leo, and look at the other RP just behind him, in contact, all three of them in the wall. And that's a big crash with both RPs spinning there, Williams spinning too. And Chris there gets out of there unscathed. All three of them went to the wall. That's both Williams who spun. I couldn't quite tell from the colours there. It was one RP and two Williams who went for a spin. And yeah, 3 into 1 does not ever go around this track. And unfortunately all three of them ended the wall except Chris, who escaped from it. Quickler then, the man who started in last place, is now leading the Singapore Grand Prix with Craigo. Oh, somebody's spun down there. That's Harry Palmer, who's gone for a spin. Oh, he has actually went to escape road, and he rejoins at the P7 then. But Craigo is in the pit lane then, so that leads. Oh, that road has gone for a spin. He's lost his front wing too. And he wheel spinned into the wall, but thankfully for other people hasn't caused a safety car. And George Hargreaves then, this is going to be a mighty battle between these two, because obviously now in the medium compound tyres, no more harvesting, no more saving. It's a fight all the way to the end. Little One will have his hands full with George Hargreaves in the Bahrain Grand Prix, where George Hargreaves looks like he had the advantage of Little One, but Little One so far has been controlling this race, keeping George at bay for the majority of the race. Can he keep him there now? I think Little One would rather have Harry Palmer up there than being in P6, because if Harry Palmer was up there, if he didn't make that mistake down at, let's see what corner it was, down at turn number 18, he could have had his teammate to help him, and Little One would have been let past by Harry Palmer. And now they're both stuck behind Gautier Lefellin then, so Little One will have DRS in the back of Gautier Lefellin. Got to make his way past him as quickly as he can. Can't afford to lose any time behind the Haas, otherwise I'll have George Hargreaves right behind. Same for George. If Little One gets past Gautier Lefellin, which he should do on medium compound tyres, George has to follow through very quickly to ensure that he doesn't lose any time and lose that DRS he needs to gain on Little One and try and overtake him later on. But they're all stuck now behind Gautier Lefellin, the slow hard runner in P2 on all the tyres, it must be said as well. So Little One, Gautier Lefellin will have his hands full with the medium and his right behind him. How hard when he puts defence against Little One, George Hargreaves and Mazzles as well. could spoil somebody's race here. He's not going to go to the pit lane because he still can go quite a long way on those hard compound tyres. But is this Little One's chance? Now look at this then. We've got Little One side by side, but George Hargreaves follows through very quickly as well. He's got to. And he goes down the inside. They both go down the inside and go to the fence then. And here comes Mazzles then, right behind his Haas teammate. I would have thought his Haas teammate would have let him go. But look at the further ahead then, George Hargreaves. Well, I thought he was so close to on the back. But he picks himself up a 3-second time penalty as George. That's definitely going to spoil his race now. Going a bit too wide, coming out turn number 5. He picked up a penalty in USA, which cost him the victory of this race. And Craig goes overtaking Harry Palmer too. But that's definitely spoiled his chance. We've got a big crash further behind. Both Alfa Romeo and a Red Bull. What's happened there then? I think the Red Bull's actually been lapped. I thought I saw 2 cars on the mini-map stationary down at turn number 5, but it looks like my eyes deceived me, and it's that Ronan who went for a spin at turn number 5. But you can see George Hargreaves is pushing so hard, and he's picked himself up a penalty, unfortunate for him. I wonder, let's see what the consequences are towards the end of the race. 11 laps to go in this race. George Hargreaves looking for his first win, but it's quite unlikely now due to that 3-second time penalty. He best hope that Little One and Mazzles behind picks up a penalty if he wants to win this race, because that's not happening right now. And this will relieve Little One a little bit. A bit of pressure's off his shoulders now. He knows that George Hargreaves has a penalty, so he doesn't have to push as hard as he can, or doesn't have to make any mistakes due to pressure, because he knows the Mercedes behind is out of DRS range as well. So George Hargreaves there is struggling now to keep in DRS range. Maybe that penalty has affected him just a little bit there, made him a bit impatient, and started making a lot of mistakes now and then. Now he's got Mazzles right behind him too, for good measure. So not the race George would have wanted. He lost it down at turn number 1, did George. Tried to go back around the outside, but lost traction coming out of turn number 3, which allowed Little One to go up the inside and back through him. And now he has to deal with Mazzles, looking for a podium as well. Had his first win at the Monaco Grand Prix, did Mazzles in the Haas. And now he's looking for another podium to add to his collection. Stunning drive from the Haas man, Danish man in P3. And he's looking to take away P3 the championship standings too, because his closest rival, Dragon of Speed, is outside the top 10. And it could be barely scoring any points as well. He'll get no points for P13 with Dragon of Speed, and Mazzles will gain a bunch of them, which can give him a healthy advantage over Dragon of Speed in the championship. Mazzles desperately needs this good result after disconnecting from the session quite a few times this season, which cost him big points too. With 10 laps to go, he knows he doesn't have to fight too hard against George Hargreaves sustaining a penalty, but he's actually dropped 2 seconds behind now, Little One there, so looks like the pressure's got to him just a little bit there, George Hargreaves. I don't think he sustained any damage. I didn't see him hit the wall. But ever since he picked up a penalty, oh, he's in the pit lane, George, so what's this then? Another pit stop on the hard medium compound tyres? In the pit lane he goes then to put on a brand new set of the medium compound tyres then, so it's a 2-shot strategy, quite unusual as well, because the pit lane is... Oh, George! Oh, come on, George, why'd you have to do that for? You're a full-time driver, you're going to score a podium or P4, you didn't have to do that. Well then, George Hargreaves has retired out of this race. Not thinking about the long-term effect as well in the championship. Looks like the frustration has got to him in the end, and unfortunately he has retired from the session. And Dragon of Speed there spinning at the final corner. Quick killer, by the way, 21 laps on those hard compound tyres, hasn't pitted yet in the race, starting in last, finds himself in P1. Good pace on those hards. Nacho's retired. Could this trigger a safety car? Could this pay in the hands of Quick Killer? And I think a safety car has been deployed now. A full-blown safety car is in. Little One is very consistent, I agree with that one. But Nacho then is out of the race, which has caused a safety car, and this will pay dividends in the hands of Quick Killer. Little One might find himself a bit of a challenge here with Quick Killer. This definitely pays in the hands of Quick Killer. Can make a pit stop, a cheap pit stop under a safety car. And I wonder what George was thinking there, as that Roland has left the session as well. So 12 drivers remain. Looks like Dragon on Speed will score some points in the end. Mazel's in P3. Oh, George, man. Hasn't got the racing mentality, unfortunately, George. And little one then is in the pit lane. Let's see what others do. Mazel's decides to stay out there. Quick Killer is on the soft compound tyres. Mazel finds the final corner. Will he jump Quick Killer? I think yes, he will. I think he will definitely get Quick Killer. But this has helped Quick Killer because it's reduced the gap he had ahead of those guys. Because he's going to rejoin a long way behind those guys. And Craig goes also up into P2. Little one is on a brand new set of soft compound tyres. And we've got more drivers following. This has helped Corti and Venom get off those old hard compound tyres and change it from wing 2. And number 93 is also my number. Good number into Corti and Venom. There's more drivers over the pit lane with Harry Palmer and Ferguson also making their pit stops just further behind too. But it's going to be a very interesting race, and let's see who wins this Grand Prix. Will it be Mazel's Quick Killer, or will it be Little One Chris in P4 too? But my drive today, for sure, has got to be Quick Killer. From last on the grid up into P3. Yeah, he started down at P19. Only 19 drivers on the grid for this race. And up into P3. This is the man to keep an eye out in P3 here. Can he win the race from last to first? We thought George and Little One would be the race winners of this race, but it could be Quick Killers after an amazing comeback drive from the last. I don't know how he's done it. Where was his quali pace? Just couldn't quite hook it up for one lap pace, but when it came to race pace, he had it. Random Human, I think you might want to talk to George about his retirement because big points were on offer for him, even if he did drop outside the podium. Big points was still on for him. Well, safety cars came out anyway, so. And apparently George Hargreaves was complaining about Little One brake checking him, but I don't think he was because obviously he saw the difference in setup. Little One had more straight line speed, George had more cornering speed, no more downforce on that car, so I don't think Little One was brake checking him. He would never do that. Maybe George is just a bit too hot-headed, it seems. Gotta cool it down. But anyways, now the safety cars came out, it's given me another chance to have a break. And this should be an interesting few laps for this race. Any of these guys could be the winner of this Grand Prix. Difference in strategies here on. Looks like Mazel's has stayed out there on the mediums, didn't want to go to the softs, neither has Kurt Grego. But Quick Killer in a prime position in P3 and a brand new set of softs. Let's see what he can do in P3. I'll see you all very shortly. Right boys, the safety car is coming in at the end of this lap, and Muzzles then pulls away from Craigo with quick killer in P3. Chris under huge pressure from Little One then, and Little One gets a decent safety car restart. He goes side by side now with Chris. Little jolt to the left from Chris there. Little One trying to go down the inside, but he can't quite do so. Chris stays at P4 there, swings it around the outside. Obviously we know Little One hasn't got the corner speed like George Greaves has, but gets a decent exit then. But with the straight line speed the advantage he has. Quick killer is up into P2 ahead of Craigo. He takes it before the straight. What a good move there from Quick Killer. Now Little One, Chris is defending there. Little One had to go on the brakes as Chris stopped giving this one up very easily despite being on the medium compound tyres. And Little One there has to remain in P5. He does outbrake himself. Little One there switches to the inside, has the inside line for the next corner as they go side by side now once again. And with the grip of those softs, you expect Little One to pull away, but no, Chris is still there. On the inside, we go so close. Little One with the outside line with better traction speed and tyres up into P4 then. So longer than he would have wanted, but however, in the end, he takes P4 away from Chris. Chris trying to put up a mighty defence, but couldn't quite do so as Gordon Develop gets out of shape then. We'll have Ferguson all over the back of him, but has the inside line in, plants his car in the middle of the track there, stays in P6, in the floor, in the background. Mighty Baguettes gets a horrible exit, which Dragon of Speed says thank you very much, I'll take P10 away from you and get a better exit than you as well, put myself inside the top 10. So yeah, Little One there with that battling with Chris has cost him a second now between himself and Craigo. But obviously we know he has the pace then to close in on these guys. Like you said in the stream, he's very consistent. He's got the pace to do so. Can he close in now? Quickler has a big chance of leading this race, winning this race as well. Dragon of Speed up into P9 after Ferguson has spun in P12. Unfortunately for him, JR Mason is just outside the top 10. Can he get himself there in the top 10 at the end of the race? Plenty of things could happen with 5 laps left to go in this race. But Quick Killer looking for victory after starting in last place after a dismal qualifying. All of a sudden he finds himself in a race winning position. But Muzzles there looking for his second victory of the season. Can he defend against Quick Killer? We're about to find out. Will those soft tyres hang on there with 5 laps extra? We know the tyre life is not that great around Singapore or any track on those soft compound tyres. As Muzzles there went a bit deep coming out of turn number 9. Could be very careful as well. Quick Killer, he's waiting for the DRS to be activated so we can pounce on him at any moment. But Little One there, I dare say his chances of victory are slipping away now down in P4. Not enough laps left for him, unfortunately. The gap is 1.6 seconds then, so as he cost himself the victory. Looks like it did look like a very smart move on the soft compound tyres, but 5 laps left to go. I don't think he has a chance of closing these guys in. Him being down there in P4, so that pit stop might have cost him. Was staying out there on the mediums better for him because he lost track position towards Muzzles and Quick Killer, who's on the soft compound tyres, the same tyres as him as well. So we'll find out in a few laps time. Let's see what happens. But you can see Quick Killer all over the back of Muzzles there. I'm just looking at the chat to see what is going off. As DRS then has been enabled, Muzzles will be under huge pressure from Quick Killer. He knows he's fast in the corners, but is he quick down the straights? He's got a lot of ERS at his disposal, and Muzzles hasn't. And you can see there, he's just pushed him around in the corners. And now Quick Killer needs a decent exit coming out of turn number 5 here to get him down the straight. If he wins this race, that'll be a phenomenal job from last P19. Is this his race winning move now? Coming on the straight into turn, away we go. Muzzles has no ERS. He defends on the inside line. Quick Killer has to go on the outside. As he does so, no, he goes off the track. And thankfully he doesn't hit the wall too. So Muzzles there survives for another lap. Quick Killer there outbroke himself, almost hit the wall, but thankfully he didn't, because all that good work from Quick Killer would have been undone by breaking a bit too late than he would have wanted. But he has to try and go again for the next lap. He wants the inside line for the next corner, but Muzzles there smartly defending that inside line. But Quick Killer has another chance at him with the extra ERS he has. And Muzzles is exposed once again, unless he can get a decent exit out on the Addison Bridge and get him down into turn 14. And he's too far back on that occasion to do so. But this could be an interesting fight between Muzzles and Quick Killer towards the end of the race, with Craigo sat there in P3. If these two make contact, Craigo can find himself winning the Grand Prix, and Gordon Lefebvre on those brand new set of softs is all over the back of Chris as well. He's up into P6. Is Gordon Lefebvre? Where did he start in fact? He started down in P12, made an early pit stop as well, but that safety car, the second safety car, brought him back into play because he had to pit again on those old hard compound tyres, and now he's fighting Chris for P5. Last 2 corners we go as we make our way now on to lap 28. Where does Gautier has spun. That's turn 21, and that's a common place to spin as well. It's so easy to get on the curb and lose the back end of the car, but as you can see, Quickler having better script than Mazzles. Mazzles having to defend once again. Then he's got no ERS whatsoever left in the tank, in the battery, and Craig has picked himself up a 3-second time penalty. But Quickler, for the second time of asking, can he get Mazzles down his straight? He wants the inside line for this corner. He gets so close. Mazzles there, unfortunately, had to yield in the end as Quickler there takes the lead of the race, puts himself into P1. What a fantastic drive from Quickler, and that's adapted to what he did last time round. The outside didn't work, so the inside he tried, and it worked this time, and it was all the way to the inside as well because Mazzles forced him all the way to the inside. Fair racing obviously, but yeah, unfortunately for Mazzles, they couldn't do anything about it. Would have loved his second victory of the season, but Quickler, you would expect him to be the winner in this race after his qualifying position. And now he's in P1. This man should be definitely driver of the day there. Good pace on those hard compound tyres too. Mighty good pace. I expect everybody in the chat to be voting Quickler as driver of the day. I have no idea where his race pace came from. His consistency as well. Those pace on the hard compound tyres. Went for a very long stint on those hards. I bet nobody thought, Dragler speed there, went for a spin. Where's that? Coming out of turn number 14, that is. But yeah, Mazzle tried his best, but unfortunately it didn't work out for him. But Quickler, I bet none of these drivers were even thinking about Quickler throughout the whole race. They knew they would have a massive undercut on him once he pitted, but no, the safety car came out and it ruined their chances. As KXI is now putting pressure on the Williams ahead of him. Remember, KXI had problems of his own in this race. I think he spun out coming out of turn number 3. Now he's fighting Chris for P5. As Chris there stayed out on medium compound tyres for 6 extra laps in KXI. Didn't pit during the second safety car. And he has the AlphaTauri all over the back of him then. And let's see if the AlphaTauri can get ahead of him coming out of turn number 8. As here we go then, on this short straight we go. As you can see, the car is flashing, derated on the straight. We're going to be very careful with the movements there, is the Williams drivers. KXI can't make an overtake there because he was too far back to do so. Plus, the Williams put the car in the middle of the road. But Quickler then has extended his gap over 1.4 seconds then between himself and Mazzles as Craigo's picked up a 3-second time penalty. Little One's pace has dropped a little bit too. He's not able to close in on Craigo. The gap is actually 1.8, so I wonder where his pace has disappeared to. And KXI then still putting pressure on the Williams. Harry Palmer too having a decent drive in P7. Gone for a few spins himself, but the help of the safety cars brought him back in contention. And he's stuck in a DRS tray behind KXI, who's putting pressure on Chris on all the tyres. Might get down there in P8 with Gordon in P9, Dragler speed in P10, JR Mason P11 and Ferguson in P12. KXI has hit the wall. Bit of understeer he picked up there throughout the corner. That was turn number 17, that is. Did he sustain any damage, I wonder? We're about to find out as he turns in these slow speed corners. Quite easy to tell if he's got forward damage, a massive wheel spin too. He's not going to pit obviously because there's only 2 laps left to go in this race. But I wonder, by hitting that wall has cost him a little bit of end plate damage, I wonder. Maybe it's just light green. It looked like he got away with it, did KXI. Not often you get away with a hit like that against the wall. Chris has lost traction coming out of turn number 3, which is allowed. KXI being pushed all the way to the right hand side, but KXI is still there side by side with Chris, who swings around the outside, but KXI has DRS then to try and put himself up into P5 ahead of Chris. Chris defending as much as he can. Bit too much there, mate. Bit too much there. And KXI going down the inside, but Chris sticks around the outside. That's the inside line for the next corner. Chris, no matter what, is not giving up. He's back down the inside of KXI. He's against the wall. And there's Harry Palmer, makes contact with Harry Palmer. They're both in a spin. And he gets hit by the Ferrari, who's lost his wing too. Wow. I think words will be exchanged between KXI, Mighty Baguette as well. Harry Palmer being an innocent victim. Mighty Baguette also being an innocent victim too. But yeah, Chris can be very careful with his defending there. Maybe more than one movement. but that's for the stewards to discuss. He was not giving up, was he? His fight against Little One did not give up on Little One despite having all the tyres and Little One being on softs. It's just a driver. It's just needs to be more patient. Well, not he needs to be more careful while defending like that. As Dragon of Speed takes advantage of KXI's broken wing. Dragon of Speed puts himself back into P8, and now goes to defend and will be all over the back of him. KXI then being pushed off the road, well, into the wall at turn number 8, which sent to a spin, collected Harry Palmer, then Harry Palmer collected Mighty Baguette, and Mighty Baguette there driving with no front wing whatsoever. Obviously he's not going to pit because it's the last lap, there's no need to pit as Harry Palmer takes P6 away from Mighty Baguette. Oh, Dragon of Speed, what was that? What did you do there? 2 laps left to go and you put it in the wall. Okay, that was a bit weird. That was a bit of a weird crash. Looked like he just went full speed into the wall. That's not a Dragon of Speed type of thing. But Craigo might be able to get a podium because look at Little One. He's dropped 4.4 seconds now. His tyres must be dying. So something must have happened to Little One there. I'm not quite sure what happened. But Craigo might be able to get a podium now because he's 4.4 seconds ahead of Little One, who's losing loads of time towards Craigo. After that pit stop, hasn't looked anywhere. But this man, Quick Killer, in the McLaren, this could be McLaren's second victory in a row after MKP took it at the Bahrain Grand Prix, and now here under the lights of Singapore, it's going to belong to this man who started in last place. Appeared out of nowhere in the race, had a very good start, made about 10 positions at the start of the race, and just been taking people one-on-one, went for a very long stint on the hards, and after the second safety car, pitted on a brand new set of softs, and here he is then, who's going to see the checkered flag for the first time as a race winner in Singapore. Quick Killer makes his way towards the final corner. He wins the Singapore Grand Prix. What a fantastic drive from Quick Killer. Definitely the driver of the day for me. Mazel's in P2 ahead of Craigo, who stays in P3 despite a penalty. Little One in P4. Chris will finish in P5. Might pick up 3 penalties due to those incidents. We'll see. But I can tell you now, the drivers will not be happy with Chris, who finishes in P5 ahead of Harry Palmer, who recovered as well in P6. Gordon Lefellin will finish in P7. Mighty Baguette will take P7 away from Gordon Lefellin due to his penalties. JR Mason, despite all of that, finishes inside the top 10. What a good drive there from JR Mason to finish in P8 because of Gordon Lefellin's penalties. So good drive there from JR Mason. KXI in P10, unfortunately for him, and Ferguson in P11. But the spotlight definitely belongs to Quick Killer after a stunning drive in this race. Give this man some credit, Quick Killer. He's done a phenomenal job. Nobody suspected him winning this race. I bet nobody thought that Quick Killer would win this race. Even I didn't either. Obviously, with drivers starting down in last and having a terrible qualifying, he didn't really convert it to a good race, but he did. He converted it into a fantastic race to put himself in P1. I'm very happy for Quick Killer. He deserves it. It's P19 to P1. Had a bit of luck, but sometimes you need luck in racing to win, and he had the pace to match it too. Mazel's, he might be frustrated, but in the end he didn't pit. Quick Killer did, took advantage of the softs, and eventually he wins. So Mazel's there, another podium for him. Good job from him in P2. He still finished ahead of George Hargreaves, the Little One, nevertheless. Started P6 as well, finished in P2. Craigo there, started P3, finished in P3. Looked like his P3 could be taken away due to his penalty, but for some reason Little One's pace just dropped. Just disappeared. Dissipated. Chris in P5, but we'll see if that remains. Harry Palmer from P17 to P6, Mighty Baguette in P7. JR Mason, who made his first appearance for a while here, and he finished in P8 in the AlphaTauri, so he should be happy for P14. Go to the fan in P9, KXI in P10. And there's a lot to be said after this race as well, a lot to digest and take in. But after qualifying, it looked like Little One and George Greaves would have a hard fight. They did, but George Greaves felt like Little One impeded him and dented his race too. But they both had different strategy setups, as clearly as you can see. Little One had better straight line speed. George Hargreaves had better corner speed. Maybe George Greaves could have used his better corner speed to his advantage to slow the car down to get better exits and try to take Little One. Because he said Little One was braking early, because that's what you do when you have a straight line speed set up. You just brake early, because obviously it's hard to make it in the corners with that type of setup. Well, let's do podium interview, shall we? Why not? Let's. So it was P2. It was Muzzles. Let's invite him, shall we? Muzzles. Hello, Muzzles. And Krago. Krago, where are you? There you are. I can hear you. So I'm going to do podium interviews for our top 3, starting from P3 upwards. And Krago will be the first man to join, or first man to do an interview, if he does join. Crazy race, huh? So Quick Killer has joined. We're just waiting for one more driver. Hopefully he's got the message too. That's Krago. I will. We're just waiting for one driver. Hopefully. Krago.
Checking if you can hear me on the stream.
So to enable, have you both got PS4 or PS5? Muzzles, you got PS4 or PS5?
PS5.
I don't know how to do it on PS5, but if you could try and look through your settings and put voice allowed to be shared. Same for you, Quick Killer.
Can you hear me now?
So go in the party settings.
I think I am live.
If Krago doesn't join, then we'll go from Muzzles to Quick Killer. We'll start with you, Muzzles. If Krago does join, we'll do him. But, mate, you got stuck in P3 that majority of the race, looking at the back of George and Little One. Were you, yeah, so crazy race from your perspective, and were you hoping that something would happen between Little One and George Hargreaves the first stint, that those two made contact, because they were so close to each other, and they were hit each other at one point as well, weren't they?
Yeah, I mean, there's been plenty of battles between them two, so yeah, I was just sitting behind. I didn't have the pace to take, so I just was sitting and hoping that something would happen, yeah. Kind of just, like a bolt.
And obviously you stayed out there on the medium compound tires. Did you feel that was the wrong choice or the right choice from your perspective on those mediums?
I congratulate Quick Killer on that strategy, because I was thinking about doing the same, of like just continuing on the hard safety car. But when I then actually decided to do it, and then that came out, I was like, that's the only chance I've got to take it, but Quick Killer.
You've done a phenomenal job this race, mate. You won the Monaco Grand Prix, haven't you? Is this your second podium of the season?
I actually do think I've got I think it's a podium. I think I got a podium in France as well, or something. Maybe I was forced there. I think I won the sprint race, but then I didn't. I think I dropped down a couple.
I know you've had some internet issues in the past few races, but hopefully you got them sorted out, because you had such good pace here in Singapore, keeping it with the top 2 as well. So you've done a phenomenal job in this race. How was the race, by the way? Was it difficult? Was it hard? Did you struggle to concentrate?
It's so hot. You sweat so much. I'm on wheel, and it's just such a hard race to. There's so many corners constantly coming at you. So yeah, it's a really tough race. But I quite like the street circuit, quite fast there because I run medium traction, and I think that kind of suits the street circuits quite well. So I know I'm quite good. I've won in Singapore. I won twice in this Monaco and in Singapore. Academy a few.
How did you feel coming into this race? Did you feel like you had a chance to be up there with those guys?
Not at all. I'm very surprised that I was. Yeah, so I'm very happy with second.
Yeah, you deserve it, mate, and hopefully one better next time in Austria.
Yep, I'll do my best.
How do you feel for Austria, by the way? How do you think that track's going to go for you?
Yeah, no, I think it's a pretty easy track, isn't it? But everyone's kind of like find it quite easy, so I'm sure lots of drama. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see indeed, mate. But congratulations on P2. You did a phenomenal job. Nice to see you back at the podium. Would you call a sprint race a podium? Because obviously that determines your qualifying position now. It's all changed in league race, obviously, on PS4 or PS5. But yeah, P2's good nevertheless because it's still a race, isn't it?
Yeah, no, I'm very happy with it. Very happy with it.
Yeah, you deserve it, mate. Hopefully one more better in Austria for you to get your second win of the season.
Hopefully. Yeah, thank you so much.
Well, the man of the day and the man of the night as well in Singapore. Quick killer, mate. You deserve driver of the day, no question about it. There should be no other contenders for driver of the day because you fully deserve it, mate. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling really good, man. It's like I think so. Almost a year since I won a race in CRN, so it's good to be back. Good to be back on the top step and really happy. I was really good, mate.
Yeah, you should be happy about that one because I don't know what happened to you in qualified. Could you not hook it up in any on your 3 runs in quali?
No. I was doing some practice, but I changed the setup before the qualifying, and after the first DRS straight, I spun, and then I got. I was just hoping for doing an alternative strategy, but most of the drivers were on the same strategy. I was like, okay, it would be a difficult one.
When did you feel like you could there was a chance of winning the race on that second safety car?
Oh yes, definitely. I was. I'm not gonna lie. I was just driving as casual as I want, but as soon as I saw it was a Red Bull driver who kept spinning and going off track, I was like, yeah, there's gonna be a safety car. I'm gonna gamble on it. And eventually there was a safety car thanks to Nacho, and I bet for softs, and this is history.
Yeah, you did a phenomenal job with that battle of muzzles. Were you ever not worried about Little One coming after you in the last few laps of the race?
No, actually no. Really no.
Yeah, is it?
I saw him. He was struggling on the softs. I was like, okay, so he's not he was pretty far behind, and there was a car between us, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, you did a phenomenal job. The whole race, in fact, because your pace in the race was amazing, even getting past people as well, and making your way up one by one. The start of your race, you gained about 9 positions, is that correct? At the start of the race?
Yeah, yes, sir.
Damn, that is crazy. That is amazing. You kept out of all the chaos, out of the trouble. You had good pace throughout the whole of it. You should be very happy yourself. Definitely driver of the day, no question about it. So, congratulations, quick killer there. And how do you feel for Austria? How do you feel for Austria?
Let's see, man. I took a leave for a week now. That's why I'm racing, or else I would have not been racing then.
Oh.
So I'll tell you, it's almost 2 a.m. here, so.
Oh, fair enough.
Pretty difficult to wake up and go to the office the next day.
Yeah, that's fair enough, mate. It's understandable, of course. I know what it feels like. Obviously, not the time difference, but like waking up early and all that. So it's understandable.
Just gonna say, I'm still worthy of winning.
Whenever you come back, I wish you the best of luck in that race. So thank you very much for joining me, Muzzles, and Quick Killer.
Yeah, thank you, mate.
Congrats once again, mate.
Yeah, I'm gonna watch the
should.
Once I wake up.
You should do, mate. It was a fantastic race from your side.
All right, mate. I'll see. Thank you, man.
Yeah, no worries, mate. So Mazzles and Quickler were the people that joined me in the party interviews, and unfortunately Craig couldn't be. But yeah, that we'll round it off here in Singapore. What a fantastic race that was. Plenty of drama. We all thought George Hargreaves a little one were going to win, but it turns out Quickler came out of nowhere in the end and won the Grand Prix ahead of Mazzles, who finished in P2, kept out of all the trouble too. So that rounds it off here in Singapore. Next time out, we're back in Europe at the Austrian Grand Prix. Join me for Tier 3 at Monday, same time next week. But first off, we're here for Tier 1 at the Singapore Grand Prix, and that should be an interesting race as well. We're about to find out who will win there. After Tony took his victory last time out in Bahrain, can he do it again in Austria to try to extend his championship lead ahead of Orvalen? But join me next time for Tier 1 at 8:30 with Stevan, as always. See you all next week, or this Thursday if you want to watch.